Hey everybody, it's John King. It is Friday the 9th of May and great news, rates are stable. John, why is that great news? It's great news that rates are stable. I'm serious because that's been our biggest problem in the last couple of years is we've had a lot of instability in interest rates. Now we have periods of time where rates are stable and we're in one of those periods of time. But those periods of time, the longer they can last, the better stability comes to the housing market. The problem is people cannot make decisions on something that takes months, at least weeks, if not months to execute if everything that's around them is volatile. If house prices are volatile, if interest rates are volatile, if the economy and the stock market is volatile, people cannot make decisions. And it's causing a lot of people to be paralyzed with indecision. And so we had a pretty volatile week last week and this week as far as news, as far as data, as far as things that were being discussed that could make major impacts to interest rates. Refresher, last week on Friday, we had the jobs report. It showed more jobs being created than we expected. That should make interest rates go up. We also last week had an inflation report that said more jobs should cause interest rates to go up. And then we had an inflation report last week that said, hey, inflation is kind of stable, which should bring interest rates down. And then this week we had the Federal Reserve meeting. And the Federal Reserve is the wild card. Now, the Fed themselves do not set mortgage rates, but they set the direction of the market. And the Fed has had all of the eyes on them for the last few years. They got it wrong a few years ago when they talked about rates, inflation being transitional or transitory, and they're sitting on their hands again. They came out on Wednesday and said, we don't have enough data to make any decisions. Yes, we think the tariffs can create issues with the economy, but we don't expect it to be big enough to warrant any changes unless we see something drastic in the numbers. The problem is by then it might be too late. So we don't know where that's going to lead. It really is no different than where we were last week. But there's a reason to celebrate that it's no different than where we were last week. We have some stability. Now, with that stability comes opportunity. So right now, stable rates are the win. The fact that we have that stability is something that we should be celebrating. But here's the deal. We may actually be in a buyer's market. There was a Redfin study that was done, a research that was done that said 44% of sellers offered a concession, whether that be price reduction, whether that be closing cost credit. 44% of sellers nationwide in the last month had a concession that they offered on the sale of their home. That is significantly higher. We've averaged typically around 30 to 35%. So that's 10 to 15% above, which is 50% compared to of an increase compared to the prior. In other words, if 30% of the people average have a price reduction or concession, and we go from 30% to 45%, that means half as many sellers had to also participate in giving credits or concessions. That's a big jump. That's a big increase for people who are thinking of buying a home. That is big open for sale sign, Memorial Day weekend sale signs, all the stuff that we see in advertising is what the sellers are saying. The sellers are freaking out right now and worried because spring was supposed to bring the buyers. We had lots of sellers that took their house off the market in December and they were waiting for the spring. That's a typical pattern. We are in spring and the market has not sprung. And really by now we should see the impact of a spring market and we're not seeing it, which means opportunity for buyers, huge opportunity for buyers, but it creates a lot of uncertainty because of really, what the Fed said is we're going to wait and see. And that's creating uncertainty now for a lot of people who are waiting on the sidelines saying, hey, maybe I'm a homeowner and I want to maybe sell my home and buy something else. Or maybe I want to take out a home equity loan or line of credit to get some cash out of my home or do a debt consolidation refinance. What I'll tell you is if you are waiting for rates to drop, the opportunity will come quick. I don't know how quickly, but it will come quick and it will go away quick. Same thing as what we saw the first week of April, last week of March, first week of April. We saw rates dip and they immediately came right back up. So my advice, if you're a home buyer, you can't control when the house that you want to buy is going to come on the market. You can't. And so you have to look at what do I want and what am I willing to pay for what I want. And when it comes on the market, lock the interest rate. There's no gambling. You're not going to know or have enough opportunity to wait it out because you have an escrow period that ends after a certain date. And so you have to lock the rate and move forward. But if you're a homeowner and you're thinking of refinancing, you're thinking of taking out a home equity loan or line of credit, but you're waiting for rates to drop a little bit, then you need to get your application in and get our finger on the button. Because when rates fall with a volatile environment like we have, they fall pretty quickly and then they shoot right back up a few days to a week later. So that's the key, is being ready to pounce when opportunity happens. For buyers, it's ready to pounce when the house you are interested in comes on the market, because even with 44% of the homes that were sold needing a price reduction or seller concession, that means 56% of them didn't. So more than half of the homes will sell without a concession. Good priced homes, quality homes in quality locations will sell quickly. Okay, so don't think every home is on sale. But if you're in a position like one of my clients was the other day, and I talked to this client and we talked about their options to purchase right now. And they said, hey, I think I need to save more money to come up with my closing costs so I don't have to ask a seller for help. And if you're like that client, my advice to that client was, hey, keep your eyes open, keep your finger on the trigger, because when you see a home that has been on the market for 2 weeks, 3 weeks with no price reduction, you know that seller's getting nervous. Now is the time to swoop in, give them a full price offer and ask for a concession, ask for a credit towards those closing costs. You end up getting a better deal. You're saving a significant amount of money up front, and you're buying the house at a discounted time. Because when interest rates come back down, house prices are going to go up. The unknown is when are interest rates coming back down. So that's the key that you need to be thinking about and that you need to be ready to take advantage of. So it's really, really important to make sure that you are ready to make that happen. And it's all about planning. So if you have questions, if you want to set up a strategy session, scan this QR code. You'll download my mobile app. There'll be a button on there where you can schedule a meeting to meet with me, because I want to be here to help guide you and anybody you trust to refer to me through the home purchase and refinance process. All right, guys, last thing, just a quick reminder. I've got my podcast every single Tuesday. It is about two categories: business owners and salespeople, commission salespeople, tactics to help you grow your business and to achieve greater sales. And then the second part is growing your real estate portfolio. So that is how to build wealth through real estate. This coming Tuesday, I'm going to talk about the different types of properties, all the way from 8 to 10 unit properties, all the way down to condominiums and manufactured homes, and help you understand how those things work. All right, we got a couple of questions here. Let's take a look. All right, so just joining. I did not cover Dream for All yet. So your question is, do I think number 40 has a chance? So Dream for All, we saw a lot of movement in the last couple of weeks. We saw more people getting vouchers, getting off of the wait list. I'll tell you, first of all, number 40 is going to be key regarding what region you're in. Okay. If you're 40 in Los Angeles, I think you got a really good chance. If you are number 40 in Yuba County, you probably have a small chance. So it's the region, because it depends on how many vouchers were available in that region. But here's what I'm finding. I'm talking to more and more people who got vouchers that don't want them, that they decided, you know what, there's nothing I can afford. I was hoping a year and a half ago, almost, a year and a couple months ago. Because remember, this was launched as the advertising January of 2024. And these people so okie dokie, you're in Central Valley. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think 40 is decent in the Central Valley. If I recall correctly, Central Valley was like 10% of the, so there's 170 vouchers. I think you got a decent chance. The problem is how much fallout we're going to see. Okay, if you were in LA got a significant portion, almost over 20%, 25% of the vouchers. So scale, right? You're number 40 out of how many? But here's what I'm finding. I'm finding that people were first learning about this program 2 years ago. So March of 2023, when the first version came out, but the money disappeared just like that. And so I said, you know what? I don't know if this is ever going to come back, but if it comes back, I'm going to find a way to use it. And they just stopped looking. And then they found out about 15, 16 months ago, yeah, it's coming back. Great. They weren't shopping. They didn't think that they were realistically going to get a home, but they're putting their name in their hat. And now we are over a year later. They were way down on the list of vouchers. A lot of them ended up buying something. They changed jobs. They moved away. And so they ended up in a position where they can't use their voucher. Some of them spent the money they were going to have in closing costs on something else. Talked to a lot of people in that situation. Some of them have gotten themselves into a financial pickle, whether it be a job loss, whether it be credit card debt and spending, and they're in a financial pickle where they can't qualify. So there's a lot more people now that are getting vouchers that can't use them compared to the number of people in the beginning. So CalHFA had their statistics, and they said, well, this is what our historical last summer, this is what our pull-through rate was. We gave out this many vouchers and this many used them. Well, they now gave out a bunch of vouchers in March that used those statistics and said, well, okay, if X percent of the people are going to use them, then we'll apply that and we'll give away enough vouchers that this will be our last release. We want to be done. Well, they found out that the pull-through rate is significantly lower given the fact that not the demographic, but the circumstances of buyers right now are very different than how everybody felt last summer when they were holding their breath and waiting until the end of June when we finally found out who won the lottery. So between March and June, everybody was ready. Everybody was watching their credit. Everybody was doing everything they possibly could to make sure they were ready when they won that voucher because they were positive they were going to win. And now they have moved on. And so a lot more of those people are not actually purchasing or in a position to purchase. All right. So fingers crossed, been waiting a long time. Hopefully those who don't qualify rescind, and you are very, very welcome. Guys, I am giving away all of my content, all of my information I can to you guys. I'm doing that for a few reasons. A, nobody else is doing it. Like there's so many questions that are out there and nobody has good information. And B, I want to earn your trust and I want to earn the opportunity to do business with you. Whether it's today, whether it's on the Dream for All program, whether it's tomorrow, next month, or next year with any other program, I am 100% interviewing to be your loan officer and the loan officer you trust to your friends, to your family, to your neighbors. So I really appreciate your trust. I really appreciate the opportunity to help you out. It does not look like I have any other questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody go. Enjoy your weekend, at least here in Northern California. It's gonna be a nice hot one. So stay cool and hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.